Frank, UFC 222 is not even 12 hours old, and you and I are up early on a Sunday morning at the Bent Pixel Studios to recap this fight card. That's some podcast dedication right there.
And fear of my wife.
And fear of your wife.
Because if I'd done this in the afternoon and taken up family time,
yeah,
I'd be in trouble.
Well, then you deserve even a bigger pat on the back for getting up early and doing this and looking good, too.
Thanks,
I mean, you're all like camera ready is the other thing, too.
Surprised, right?
Yeah, I figured this was going to be a backwards ball cap day. It's certainly a beanie day for me, so...
Good thing about being in better shape is I'm starting to be a little more alert when I get up.
I guess that's it. I guess that's it. All right. Well, before we get into breaking this fight card down, we do want to let you know that this podcast, just like all Phone Booth Fighting podcasts, is presented by Low T Nation. LowTNation.com is the website for you to go to find out if you are a candidate for some biological clock rejuvenation. How's that for a phrase? If you're getting a little older, if you're getting a little slower, if you don't quite have the get up and go that you used to, then lowtnation.com might be for you. All right, Frank, let's say I'm one of those fellas, and I go to lowtnation.com and I dial the phone number for the free telephone consultation. What happens from there?
Well, after the consultation, they basically screen you, see if it's ever going to waste your time, if something that along the lines of what they do is going to be able to help you, and if that's the case that you're hitting some of those warning check marks that say that you might be a candidate, they'll schedule an appointment. You'll be able to go down to the LabCorp where there's there's a LabCorp in every state, in almost every city here.
No matter where I'm living in America, I can find one near me.
Easy to go, and then once you do, that'll be the most effort on your part, and once you they get the results, doctor looks it over, can discuss things with your general physician if you like, and then have the prescription shipped to your house monthly, on time, convenient. Can't be any easier.
I got a solid testimonial, by the way, from our number one listener, Joe Cockrell, about Low T Nation. He's a new client. Said it was spot on. Said he was super happy with his customer service there. By the way, Joe, he's a secret weapon for us because not only is he a great listener, but he trades with a lot of our sponsors and supports the show. So I always like to have a little secret shopper out there. You know what I mean? Because I want to make sure our listeners are happy. If they're not happy, we're not going to be happy. You know, so I always like to two things that we promise you is that the products or sponsors that we pitch are definitely something we would stand behind, and we want to make sure that our listeners do as well.
Joe's the one that got a hold of us too, right?
Different guy.
Oh.
Different guy. Yeah, Low T Nation is, let me tell you, that is changing the lives of a number of Phone Booth Fighting listeners. So too many to count, actually, which is a good thing. But Joe did hit me up and say he was really happy with the way everything was going over there. So thanks for letting us know about that. Thanks to lowtnation.com for providing the service. You could be next. Hit them up and let them know that Frank and I sent you. All right, Frank, last night I was at T-Mobile Arena here in Las Vegas. You know who else was there? Travis is here.
That's how you kidnapped Travis, huh?
He's just off camera. Travis is back. He got a rare day off from building that Raiders stadium. Say hello, Travis.
What's up, guys? Long time no see.
It's good to have you here in the Bent Pixel Studios.
I realize as much as you hate football, now you have one more reason why you hate football.
That's right. It's keeping.
I'm like, oh no, man! Now it just dawned on me. I'm like, you're pissed off that he has to go build the Raider Stadium.
That's right.
And you're like, for this American football bullshit, and
it's driven a big wedge between us and our crack producer. Now, for those of you who have enjoyed the more recent offerings of Porno Mikey, he's still with us. In fact, I think this morning he is loading out the UFC because, he does like roadie work as well. And he told me he was working from like 6 a.m. to noon or something like that, I think, loading that off. So essentially what's happened is our new girlfriend is at work, so we invited our old girlfriend over. And
very Cuban of you.
Yeah, if our new girlfriend gets off work early, it could get ugly.
Am I the side piece?
Yeah.
It doesn't count if it's your ex, right? Isn't it like a whole
That's what Travis said when I called him. I don't know. I just took his word for it. Anyway, it's nice to have Travis back with us. And like I said, Travis never left the family.
I keep saying, and then I want to take it a step further. I just want like a foursome.
Yeah.
I'm like, Mike can do that, and then Travis just comes here and becomes part of our banter.
Well, now you really crossed the line of good taste there, Frank. I was tap dancing on the line, and you just pushed us right over it there.
Oh, come on, man.
That's disgusting.
Polygamy is good.
What you're suggesting. Anyway, yeah. So Travis was at the fight last night. Took his whole family out and his son for his 13th birthday, and so he was there so he can chime in with some fight thoughts as well. But I'll tell you what, Frank, UFC 222. For a card that was significantly affected by injury, because remember, this was supposed to be Max Holloway defending his interim featherweight title against Frankie Edgar, or not even his interim title now, because Conor's been stripped of that, but the featherweight title against Frankie Edgar, and Holloway got hurt. So Edgar, being Edgar, took a short notice fight against blue chip up and comer Brian Ortega. We'll talk about that fight momentarily, but that meant that the headlining fight was Cris Cyborg defending her women's featherweight title against Yana Kunitskaya. That fight was originally supposed to be, it was never scheduled, but the hopes were that it was going to be Cyborg defending against women's bantamweight champion Amanda Nunes. Nunes couldn't make that fight happen on her schedule, so Cyborg took Kunitskaya. Kunitskaya was coming over from Invicta. She is probably most notable over there for holding their bantamweight title, splitting a pair of fights with former Invicta bantamweight champ Tanya Evinger. She won the vacated title, Kunitskaya did, after Evinger herself came over to the UFC to fight Cyborg. So that's the whole lineage there. But me explaining the lineage probably took longer than the fight did because Kunitskaya was TKO'd by Cyborg in short order. And this fight went pretty much exactly as just about everyone expected it to. Cyborg came in a huge favorite.
Yeah, that's why I kind of like this morning when I walked in, you're like, hey, did you see it? I was way more interested in Luis Ortiz and Deontay Wilder.
Oh, yeah,
and
right,
I'm an
right.
MMA guy, and I'm more interested in boxing because I'm like, oh, that's a competitive fight.
Yeah.
This one, I'm like, dude, like, in fact, actually, last night I was eating dinner with Raymond and Sean, my wife, Jennifer, and then we were out to dinner with Jose Canseco and his girlfriend, and Morgan, I believe. And so they were, I was trying to make a joke like, hey, there's a Cuban fight tonight. We're 2.5 Cubans right now.
Yeah.
And like, oh, cool. Like, oh, isn't there a UFC fight? I'm like, yeah, but who gives a shit? Like, what do you mean? I'm like, the Cyborg chick, and I put her on. I said, she has about as much of a chance of losing a fight as I do right now. If you told one of those guys in the bar to come jump me,
Yeah.
I mean, like, there's just this girl has.
Yeah.
I mean, it was of no interest unless Cyborg slipped on the way to the cage and broke her foot, and probably still could win then. At that point, I didn't see it as competitive. I didn't understand why this wasn't a record for the biggest divide in odds of all time.
Yeah, and it maybe because not enough was known about Kunitskaya. That might have actually made her less of a
people might have thought of a dark horse here, like,
possibly. I mean, who knows with the odds makers?
Dude,
but
pretty much anybody Cyborg fights right now at 45. Name one person you think even has
listen,
a half a chance.
Let me tell you why that's problematic for me to do. If you look at the UFC's website, they don't have women's featherweight rankings. They don't have enough featherweights to rank 15.
I don't think they want to make it very obvious that, like, we made a weight class just for one chick.
Right, but yeah, I mean that's the obvious challenge of the situation right now. Now, Kunitskaya, I mean, to give some credit here, she had the right
gloves.
Well, she had the right she had the right game plan going in as far as trying to close the distance. She tried mightily to try to execute a takedown, and it really came after getting dropped but holding on to a leg and trying to pull Cyborg down with her. She even sort of halfway took her back at one point, Travis. She got one hook in.
But you could just see the difference in athletics,
Sure.
power.
No, yeah.
She has her in a tight waist from behind. Look, jumping up and putting in double hooks at the same time, it can work. Put in one hook and kind of trying to sag your way up you got to return them to the mat. There's just fundamentals of wrestling. But that works with someone who's your own size.
Yeah.
just like if I go wrestle with, Demetrius Johnson, he can't return me to the mat. It's not because he's more technical than I am or less technical. It's because there's a huge power size difference. And that's what Cyborg is just a different kind of athlete. She is making a hard cut down to featherweight, and all these girls are not even featherweights. It's like even that thought I just told you, like, hey, name someone you think has a shot. The only person I can think of that might be able to make it competitive is Amanda Nunes. But once again, Amanda is a true bantamweight. She's not a featherweight.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it'd be again us talking about John Jones, and everybody we got to pick to try to beat him is really a welterweight. All right, who can we get from welterweight to move up and challenge this true light heavyweight who's a beast amongst light heavyweights? It's just screwed.
Well, I asked her also about Megan Anderson in the press conference. We'll play some audio of that momentarily because I did talk to Cyborg.
Cyborg is the only time right now I feel, honestly, and MMA is a crazy sport, and I'll never say this. We're like, well, there's always a chance. You know what I mean? It's like shit always can happen. I feel now there's finally an athlete that I can say that, dude, bet the house. I don't care what the odds are. Even if you're only going to make $1, it ain't a risk.
Yeah.
You're never going to lose your money with her.
As long as it's a featherweight fight.
As long as it's a featherweight fight, she's good.
Yeah. All right. I tell you what. Well, let's Travis, cue up Cyborg there, if you will, in the post-fight press conference, because I did get a couple of questions in with her, and she took no damage. She should be.
Hey, did you like the makeup?
Did I like what?
Did you like her weigh-in makeup?
Oh yeah,
I dug it. Dude.
Yeah,
I thought that shit was cool.
Yeah,
I mean, obviously,
kind of a
Cyborg
Brazilian
is not
theme.
Going to be walking a runway anytime soon. You know what I mean? She's not the what's the word I'm trying to look for here real quick because I don't want her to ever beat me up. She's not.
You go ahead.
Technically beautiful. Or
I'll just be over here. You go ahead.
Help me out, dude. I'm drowning.
Yeah.
Not touching that.
Classically, she's not classically beautiful.
Okay.
She's but she looks like a warrior chick. Like shit. Like right now, if we were to do an Amazon warrior death princess jumping out of the woods, like I'm gonna skin you alive. Like when she dressed like that, I'm like, yeah, that's what I would envision. If you had to cast a role right now for the baddest bitch in the world showing up and gonna take your head off, when she had the eye makeup on, I'm like, that fucking looks cool, man. It kind of it got me going,
Death Princess is my favorite grindcore band, by the way.
Is it really?
Yeah. No, it's not. I just made it. Yeah.
Someone needs to name themselves Death Princess.
They should. They
That's a badass
should.
name.
It's a good name.
I think that she's gonna have to acquire that. Fuck Cyborg, Death Princess.
The Death Princess. All right. So as I said, Cyborg. Now the path is clear. I mean, Dana White came in, and we'll hear from him momentarily too. But Dana White came in just excited as he could be about the pending prospect of making a fight between Amanda Nunes and Cyborg. But
why would Amanda? She ain't gonna take it. They're gonna have to offer her so fucking
Nunes.
much money.
Well,
she doesn't want it now.
Yeah, no, she does. But the thing is,
she could, because Amanda Nunes is a badass bantamweight champ. She can stay dominant in her weight class.
Yeah.
Why move up and take an ass whooping by this chick?
Well, you know what I think that is? I think it is two women's divisions that right now are lacking depth in terms of star power. Obviously, the featherweight division, but even the bantamweight division as well, because Nunes came along and beat Miesha Tate, but then knocked out Ronda Rousey in a fight that
she handed Miesha Tate her ass too.
Yes, she did.
She walked through her.
But I'm talking about building star power in terms of, if you remember, because Ronda wouldn't do any press around that fight, they didn't have Amanda do any either. 100%. So what you kind of ended up with was, before you knew it, you just woke up one day and you had a mystery guest as your bantamweight champion. Yeah. So because of that, I think you've got two divisions that rather than go to whatever the logical contender in that division is, they're much stronger together than apart in terms of selling a fight. I think that's what.
Yeah, but you created two weight divisions to begin with. You created this 45-pound division. Yeah. So then now you're going to steal the hype or the glory of the bantamweight by getting her ass kicked.
Yeah.
And then it's like, all right, well, and then now you're back to the same problem we had to begin with. So what's her next fight? So
after that,
what do you have after Amanda Nunes? They need to take the time to build up the featherweight class. They built it. They made a champion. They have one, but they need to go ahead and do a reality show.
Yeah.
Do the tough enough, or the tough show, do a 145-pound weight class. I think they need to go that route. And if I was Amanda Nunes, and if you're listening, Amanda, don't take this fight for less than $5 million because you're only doing it for the company. Yeah. They're the only ones that are going to win in this. They're the ones doing it. I would not take it for less than $5 million.
Boy, professional advice. How pissed would Dana be? He's already got a deal with Tito managing Cyborg. What if Frank shows up as Amanda Nunes' manager?
I mean, we'll do the fight
at the offices,
but it's $5 million.
He's already got this deal together.
She needs to only do it for $5 million because it's Amanda Nunes. It's her legacy. It's her. Yeah. She can come out as an extremely dominant. The chick's a well-rounded black belt in jiu-jitsu. She's a great athlete at bantamweight. She's long. She's powerful. She hits like a truck. You know, all these great things going for her. It's just that you're asking her to beat a girl who's also a powerful girl who outweighs her. On the night of the fight, she'll be 15, 20 pounds bigger than her.
Yeah.
You know what? If I'm going to take that beating in front of everybody and have to hurt myself, I need to be taken care of for it. And that's how she needs to think. And if the UFC, it means that much to them, they make enough money, go ahead and pay her that. Just put that in front of her. This is what I want. And I would publicly go forward with that. Hey, you know, because then Dana's going to do you're afraid to fight, be a champ, fighters fight. Dude, you're a fucking businessman who's overweight behind a desk. You're not a fighter. You don't know anything about fighting. In that aspect, you don't know what it feels like to walk out there in a cage in front of 20,000 people. So, you know, no, don't fall for that shit. You know what I mean? Where they're laughing at you afterwards, cashing their checks. Make your money too off of the situation, and then go ahead. Then you can go out there, and she might have a chance at it. I'm still betting on Cyborg, even as high as I'm on Amanda Nunes at bantamweight. It's just that Cyborg at featherweight is just a different fucking animal.
Well, Megan Anderson is also out there, and you're going to hear me ask Cyborg about her because Megan at one point was scheduled to fight Cyborg. If you don't know the name, Megan has competed in Invicta, held her featherweight title. Travis and I were talking about this off air. Most recently fought, I think it was January of last year, beating Charmaine Tweet. And she is a legit featherweight. She's a legit 6 feet tall. What'd you say you heard she walked around at, Travis?
Yeah, on her breakdown on last Thursday, she says she walks around at 175 or 180.
Ooh.
Yeah. So size-wise,
you see her move. She's a tall girl, but she's still kind of. Man, right now, if we were playing pickup sandlot football, I'd pick Cyborg before I pick you. You know, I'm just saying she's just. Not only is she a big athlete, but her joints and the way she moves, she's an athlete.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We could play any sport in the world right now, and if you say, hey, pick a girls' team, and I'm putting her on there. You know what I mean?
At least with Megan, though, you're talking about somebody who's not going to have size to make up for. Now, the bizarre thing about her, though, is that when this fight was scheduled, she had some sort of visa issues that nobody completely understood.
From Australia, right? Again?
Yeah, and I never heard a legit explanation of that because she wasn't able to fight due to some sort of issues, but now she's in America. And Travis, because she does that podcast with Laura Sanko, right?
Yep.
She, you were saying she's been in America for a while now?
Yeah. According to her, she said she was ready to go. She wanted the fight, was asking for the fight, and she was shocked when they announced this Kunitskaya girl. So she called her manager and said, "Dude, what the fuck? Like, why is nobody talking to me?" She's like, "I want that fight."
I just don't know I just don't know what her work issues are. Maybe I'm the last to know.
Yeah, visas are just confusing as shit. I feel bad for people, especially, you know what, that could be a whole show on itself. If you do shit the right way, it seems like it screws you.
Yeah.
You know, you do shit the wrong way here, you can go ahead and just work and do everything else.
But let's say if she is not completely legally cleared to work in America for whatever reason, she has to understand the UFC can't very well book a pay-per-view and just hope there's not going to be a paperwork
she's here on a
problem.
tourist visa only, you know.
Yeah.
You can't technically work, you know, and that's why when we go over, and the UFC is really good about that. Their production crew, you know, I mean, at least when I was there, I don't know the new people how well they handle it, but I mean, when we go and fight in Australia, Brazil, whatever, all those X's and O's are, you know, the I's are dotted, the T's are crossed, like, you know, you understand what you're going into so that we don't have these situations. So that's why she was pulled before him, because if there is some kind of issue where she marked down the wrong class of visa and she's here, she can be here totally legal, but you can't work, and that's a problem, that, you don't want to open up the door, and especially with Dana, backing up more right-wing conservatives. All of a sudden it's like you yourself are going to have an illegal, work issue where you have an immigrant now, a non-U.S. citizen who's working under the wrong visa, so the taxes issue gets thrown off. You become what everybody on that side is actually fighting against. It's like, well, wait a minute. So what's the difference between you and the guy who hires 20 Mexicans to go pick up the fruit, who, they don't have proper work visas,
That's when Dana White's going to turn on Donald Trump when it burns him on a pay-per-view. Some fight falls through because
isn't that crazy? Everybody politically is always on their self-interest,
Yeah, because of
imagine that.
immigration issues. Yeah, it's already put Gegard Mousasi in limbo a couple of times.
Yeah. He might not even be.
Yeah,
at least she can come to the country. He might not even be able to.
No kidding.
He might get stopped at the airport with a 2-hour cavity search. Now.
Well, let's listen to my couple of questions with Cyborg here, because I do specifically ask her about Megan Anderson, because Megan tweeted last night, "Congratulations on the fight. Now let's you and I fight." And Cyborg offered her rebuttal to me last night at the post-fight press conference. Cris, Megan Anderson tweeted out her congratulations to you tonight, and then she also said that she would like to have the fight with you now. I know, obviously, everybody would like to see the fight with Amanda Nunes, but if for any reason that fight stalls the way it did before, and I know originally we were supposed to see you fight Megan Anderson, would that be a fight you would be interested in taking?
This is my job. I'm the champion. Who is going to be ready for fight with me? I'm going to be ready. Meg Anderson, I supposed to fight her before Holly Holm. It's not my fault that this fight don't happen. She's tweet, but she really cannot fight. She's really have to handle her problem with UFC for make this fight happen.
And one more from me. If you could compare and contrast going the distance with Holly Holm compared to tonight, which was very quick work for you, just the general feeling after the fight. Obviously, you took no damage tonight, but do you have a physical sense of you could be back in there very quickly?
Holly's the real fighter. When I start touching her, like you see Anna, when I touch her, she's one take down. And then when you see Holly, she's have a lot of experience. I respect that. And because this will make an amazing fight, December. And yes.
There we go. Thanks, Travis. You know what?
She's growing on me.
What's that? You know
Actually,
what? I was going to. You know what?
Cyborg,
Yeah.
I used to if everybody was making jokes about her looks, I wasn't the first one to defend her. But I don't know what she's doing differently and stuff. She actually, maybe I'm just attracted to people that could kick someone's ass.
No.
She's actually looking. Is she not looking more attractive?
I think she is. And here's the thing about her too. She
the nicest human being in the world.
She's charming. Yes,
Yeah.
I mean that maybe.
So we're those chicks that would date
matters to
the
me.
guy because of personality, huh?
Well, yeah. I mean, to me,
Mrs. Mayer would say that I am 100%.
That
Do you know
you
that
what?
she? Oh, my wife
Yeah.
is the hottest girl I've ever talked to, dated in any form. Every girl you've ever seen me with before, she always make jokes. She's like, "The fuck is that?" I'm like, she's really cool. Like, I've always more been a girl's friend and like, hey, we can have sex too. This is cool.
Yeah.
I'm that guy. You know what I mean? So like, I remember one time I was at a bar with a friend of mine and he goes, "Hey, where's your girl's here?" I'm like, "Yeah, she's over there." He's looking. He's like, it was almost like the shallow owl thing. Like, which one's your girl? I'm like, her. Shut the fuck up, dude. Come on. You need a pep talk or something. Like, no, I like her. She's cool as shit. Like, I had to defend my girlfriend all the time, how ugly she was.
Who was what kind of friend says that?
I would say that. Travis would say that.
Boy.
Travis, would you bust my balls?
Yeah, I probably would.
Yeah, see.
No, I find Cyborg very charming.
Yeah.
And she is always
I'm sort of finding myself attracted to her now.
she's always very pleasant, and you're right though. I mean, let me tell you, I have a long-standing belief. Frank is trying to corrupt Travis's son over here.
He's Travis's son. I don't think I could corrupt
Yeah.
him. I'm just going to guide him the way of the Jedi.
Yeah.
No, if you'd have been with us all night, we did a pretty good job of corrupting him last night.
Okay. All right.
That's just a man thing. It drives my wife nuts. I'm like, "Hey, son, hey, look over there." And she's like, "Are you really showing Cage a girl's butt?" I'm like, "I am training him how to observe that girl's ass and not draw attention to himself."
I see. Well, the thing to me is about a girl like Cyborg is I've had a long-standing belief that I can see a girl in a room and she might be a girl that everybody's staring at, but after you talk to her for 5 minutes, she's not even attractive anymore. Like, something physical can happen. If she has an off-putting personality or stupid or whatever, it's just like, I don't even see attractive anymore. And conversely, I've seen it where you see a girl, okay, maybe she's not the first girl you notice in a room, but if you talk to her for 5 or 10 minutes, all of a sudden she's the only girl in the room. So, I'm a Cyborg fan. I'm glad to see you say that, because I was just about to say, in all seriousness, when we got done listening to her, that I was going to tell you she charms me.
Yeah, no, her eyebrows, her skin, and she's looking good,
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want to know a little secret about me and Cyborg?
Uh-oh. You know what? If Travis would say that to me right now, I'd be like, all right, dude, fucking tell me, right? But with you, it's like, what did you do? Because I know that there's nothing diabolical whatsoever.
No, it's completely innocent.
You are the nicest. Like, if there ever was angels and demons, I know you're an angel.
Yeah.
And I'd have to confess that I'm a demon.
Well, if we had a sitcom, that's what they would do with the CGI, is whenever somebody was having a moral dilemma, they'd have you in all red on their shoulder, and then me in the white robe. Yeah,
you are the white robe guy.
No, his little secret is sometimes, not very often, but a couple of times on Instagram, Cyborg will leave me a comment, a little post, and a lot of times it's like a little heart. I don't know. It's never gone further than that. I think it's completely innocent. I think she's involved. I'm involved as well. But it's just, I was like, there's a little heart there from Cyborg.
That is definitely the safest man in the world to send a heart to.
I hope it's not Tito running her Instagram account. It could be, which I would take that too, because I like Tito. But
I think it's actually her manager / boyfriend. Is his name Ray?
I don't know.
Travis, goes on all the podcasts.
Don't ruin that for me.
I don't want to. I'm not assuming.
Are you taking it away from Richard? Come on,
yeah.
It's his moment.
All right.
Well, Tito is a nice guy, though. I really like Tito. I think Tito is one of the first pioneers of being a very good manager fighter. You know what I mean? Like my wife and I always talk highly of him.
You know what? He took some heat when he first started managing Cyborg, because he had to get up and do the press conferences and all that kind of stuff. But obviously something's going right, because she's happy with him. She stayed with him. Look at where she's at. She got the UFC to build an entire division specifically for her.
It just look. It's called a logical fallacy, right? When you sit there and it's like what is it, ad hominem, where it's like, well, who are you to say that statement, right? Mm-hmm. So meaning that, like, if, for example, your radio persona, you have experience. I've never DJ'd a radio show, right? Mm-hmm. So if I were to, is that the word, DJ it, or what is that?
It's okay. Oh, it's fine.
Right there, giving away that I don't know shit about it, right? But it'd be like if I gave you, like, hey, Richard, I think that, you shouldn't do this because of this, and I give an opinion on it, right, off of a fact of what I think. Uh-huh. And you go, well, who the fuck are you? You've never done it. Or vice versa. If you say, hey, Frank, when you throw your right hook, I notice you kind of drop your hand real low here, and I see a big opening, and look at these fights here where a southpaw's been caught with a left hook. And I go, yeah, but have you ever fought? Now, so that's a way, and that's not true. Like, if you make a true statement, I shouldn't attack the person saying it by going, well, where's your experience? Yeah. It doesn't make that statement any less true, right? But there's something and I used to really firmly believe in that. And as a martial artist, it's really helped me out in my career. I just had a guy the other day in the gym in Mayweather's. He saw me throw a kick. He goes, hey, are you okay with taking advice? I'm like, yeah. He goes, well, remember the kick goes where your knee points. I'm like, yeah, you know what? You're right. I'm missing that. And some guy that I don't know who the fuck knows what, but he pointed out something that made me think, you know what? I wasn't even paying attention to that. Thanks for the tip. Boom. I took the point of advice. And look, out of 10 times that happens, 9 times I listen and it's not useful information. I have to discard it, but I still listen to you. But I think there's something about, like, when Bella's wrestling yesterday and she's having a hard time, her first match, she lost her ever first. She had to do a round robin with a girl. And the very first time she's lost to a female in a competitive match, she lost yesterday. And she's having a hard time, and everybody's like trying to console her. And I'm being more ruthless than probably my wife would like me to be. But I know what Bella's mind is going through. I'm like, we're not going to sit here and fucking feel sorry for ourselves. We're only going to take what information is going to assist us in winning in the next match. She does this, this, and this. Stop fucking feeling sorry for yourself. You know what I mean? Like, but that's because I've been there. You know what I mean? So there's some kind of experience of being that guy that, like, look, I know what you're feeling right now. Mm-hmm. I know exactly where you are. So I think that Tito being a fighter manager, there's something about another manager asking you to do something like, okay, like, like if for example, Amanda Nunes is manager going, I really think we should take this fight. It's like, now wouldn't you think it'd be better coming from me going, I know what it feels like to fight someone who's 40 pounds bigger than you and getting hit.
Yeah.
So we're going to make sure it's compensated financially, blah, blah. So you're looking at me going, I know what you're feeling. And I'm not going to send you into a room that I've never been in myself. I'm not asking you to go in there, hey, go jump those 3 guys. Hey, have you ever been in a fight? No. But I need you to go beat those 3 guys up. You're like, you're asking me to go get jumped right now. Yeah. You've never been jumped? No. I'm sorry. It kills my motivation to want to follow you. It's like that general that leads from the front. You know what I mean? Like, I like that type of mentality. So I think that's what Tito really has going for him, is he's that general who's really, you know what I mean? He's on the front line with you. I mean, if you sit there behind a desk and you tell me to charge a hill, I'm like, yeah, fuck you, bastard. You know what I mean? All right, Dana. You know?
Yeah.
But if you're out there with me and bullets are buzzing by your head, you're like, all right, man, we got to charge this hill. I'm like, and I'm taking the lead. I'm like, really? No shit. All right, motherfucker, let's go. You know what I mean? I'll follow you into battle. You know what I mean? So that's why I think that Tito, I like that. And I think that we're going to see more of that. Management and head coaches that have actually been in a cage taking that role. And it's really one of the positives I see that our sport is going into. 10, 15 years ago, you didn't have a coach or a manager that ever fought. You know what I mean? Like, the sport was too young.
Yeah. Well, I think we're going to get Cyborg and Amanda Nunes maybe in July. I mean, that's no specific dates were promised, but the one thing we know about the Midsummer Classic for International Fight Week is we've got Daniel Cormier and Stipe Miocic in a super fight. Could it be a 2 super fight card? Quite possibly, I think so. The other option would be Max Holloway and Brian Ortega. Let's talk about that fight.
They need to. Ortega's on the map, but I still feel like
Yeah. I mean, it's quite the star power just yet, right?
Yeah, that's the problem with this situation. Mm-hmm. Frankie Edgar is valiant. I'm glad he took a dangerous fight. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? But that's where you're. Again, as a manager, if I was a manager fighter, Frankie, he wants to take this fight. Be like, no, Frankie, we're not taking this fight. Why? Because this is a dangerous fight. This guy is big. He hits hard. He's knocked out everybody he's fought so far in the UFC. And if you go out there and just barely beat him, it makes us look worse going into our Max Holloway fight. We're going to also take the time off. You're an older athlete. You've been fighting for a long time. You've earned your title shot. You've earned your place in UFC lore. You're going to be a fucking Hall of Famer. We don't have to give a handout to this kid Ortega to help him out. And I know what you're thinking. You're a warrior. You want to say no to battle. So guess what? You say you fucking hate me. I'm the manager that steps in and goes, nope, we have a contract together and I refuse to let him fight. So make me the bad guy. Mm-hmm. I'm the asshole. And I'm sure that he would look at me and go, you are the asshole. I want this fight. Well, guess what? I'm doing what's best for you. You taking this fight is not what's best for you. You have nothing to gain. The other kid, Ortega, has everything in the fucking world to gain. Even if he fights you in a close war, his stock goes up and your stock drops. Who wants those kind of fights?
Well, Frankie Edgar, being Frankie Edgar, took this fight and paid the price. Got finished for the first time in his career. Brian Ortega, now 13-0 with 5 finishes in the UFC. Came into this fight ranked number 3 as a featherweight. Edgar ranked at number 2. And I'll tell you what about this fight. Even though Frankie was stopped in the first round, Frankie looked good.
Oh, he was winning the fight. Frankie was
like Frankie. He came in. There was an immediate speed difference.
Yep. He has over everybody.
Boxing difference.
Footwork, angles, in and out.
Yeah. It immediately looked like I picked Frankie to win the fight simply for that reason. Yeah. I thought, Ortega's going to have an advantage with jiu-jitsu if this goes to the ground, but that's why Frankie's not going to let it go to the ground. This fight's going to stay standing. If I were to give Ortega, I certainly did think he had a chance, but to give him a chance, I would have never thought that he was going to knock out Frankie Edgar. And that's what was most impressive about this fight. There was nothing wrong with what Frankie was doing or his game plan.
Absolutely not.
But he got caught with an elbow that was this was like a John Jones highlight reel type elbow, and Ortega does have very long arms like John does. So when you fold up one of those elbows, it's almost like he
turned his hip with it, stepped down on the lead foot. He did a perfect high slashing down elbow and just caught him hard.
Rocked Frankie with the elbow, dropped him with a devastating uppercut. And as I said, becomes the first person to ever finish Frankie Edgar, and Ortega now has the longest finishing streak in the UFC with 6. That made his 6, and he's finished 10 out of his 14 wins. So with that, Ortega gets a shot at Max Holloway.
Yeah, for Edgar. And again, it's no slot to Edgar. I felt that Edgar could have won the fight. If you'd have told me right now, okay, hey, real quick, they're about to fight in 5 minutes, bet. If they were to fight again tomorrow, I would still take Frankie Edgar, because I think Edgar, honestly, the more over the years I've seen different fighters, I think Frankie Edgar might be the most skilled fighter in MMA ever, as far as the prototypical perfect way to fight. His combinations, how he leads from takedowns to punches to kicks. If I had to sit there and you say, hey, Frank, it's the Matrix. We're going to download someone's programming into your brain right now. I'm like, oh, Frankie Edgar. I wouldn't even second guess you. No, Frankie Edgar. Demetrius Johnson. I'm like, Demetrius is awesome too. He's right there, but Frankie Edgar is just, to me, is just the only reason why Frankie Edgar has not been just, a 15-time defending world champion is just that the weight classes gaps are too fucking big. If you look at if you look at collegiate and international wrestling, they don't have 10-pound weight differentials at that size. Professional boxing, you can go up a difference of 3 or 4 pounds and you have a different weight class, because when guys are smaller in correlation to their size or percentage, it's a bigger difference. Someone being 20 pounds bigger than me at 260 to 280, that's the difference of like a 5-pound difference down there at the 130s. 20 pounds my size, but then as you go down, it's in comparison and percentage of your body weight. It's like I can lose 5 pounds by skipping breakfast. You tell, Demetrius Johnson, hey, we need you to drop 5 pounds the next hour. He can't just skip breakfast. He's going to be bouncing around for a little while, because 5 pounds in percentage to his weight. So I think Edgar is just screwed that 35, I think, is too difficult of a cut for him, and still 45, he still looks small against everybody he fights at featherweight.
Yeah.
He almost has the length of a guy who is at the bantamweight weight class, but just can't quite cut down the muscle tissue to get down there and effectively be able to perform. I'm a big fan of, in the future, just as the sport evolves, and we have so many fighters now, we need more weight classes. And I think that guys like Frankie Edgar suffer from the lack of. I mean, we can go through. There's guys. Cowboy Cerrone is one that if there was a 63-pound weight class, Cowboy Cerrone is the undefeated champ right now. He just 170. He's just not that big of a welterweight. 55. He's so sucked down that he just doesn't fight himself sometimes. That's a 15-pound weight difference. If you had that in the middle, I think that guys like that would definitely benefit. And I think Frank Edgar is one of those guys.
Yeah. Well, he's that's something for him to think about moving forward at this point, because he's one of those guys that, obviously former lightweight champion, but in terms of what's happened with him at featherweight, and I think it's been particularly dictated by the losses to Jose Aldo, he gets close, can't quite capture that title, and then gets bumped back down. He'll stay a top 5 contender, win a couple of more.
That dude's dangerous, man. He's still, if I had to... He's not somebody I'd want one of my guys to fight. I'm like, fuck, this guy's, he's so skilled. And then up until now, his forward motion running into that elbow really crashed, And I mean, for anybody at home that's never put on boxing gloves, running into a punch is the most powerful fucking thing. They say it's the one you don't see. Fuck that. It's the one you run into is the worst. I've been clipped with shots I don't see, but the worst is like I jump forward to throw a jab and you throw a straight right hand at the same time and I mate into your fist. Well, now my brain is going one direction and body inertia. I'm basically like a wide receiver over the middle, for an American football analogy, and you're that linebacker that sees me, and as I extend out to catch the ball, my body's heading west, and now you send it going east. My brain is still going west. It's a massive concussion, and that's what really happened to Edgar in that fight.
Well, I've been a fan of Brian Ortega now for a while, and I particularly like his submission skill set. I know we got the knockout last
his guillotine
night,
was a good threat. In fact, when he went for that, at first I was kind of yelling at him. In my brain, I'm like, no, crossface. You don't go for a guillotine on Edgar. He's going to fucking throw you through the ropes or over the cage. And when he locked up the guillotine and to see Edgar back out of it, I'm like, wow, that guy has a good submissions that not only he can feel, but then in training leading up to it. Edgar's a black belt, right? Over there.
Mark Henry.
Yeah. And
Ricardo Almeida.
Ricardo Almeida.
Oh, well, yeah.
Of course, the Hound, right?
Yeah.
he felt it and backed off. Trust me, if he would have felt that guillotine and not been threatened by it, he would have just drove a double, spun his legs up, and spiked him into the mat.
Yeah.
But so, I mean, you're right. His submission's top notch.
Yeah, I mean, if you remember the standing guillotine he got on Cub Swanson.
Yeah.
And that's really, to me, when
That's
it came
actually the only other fight I've ever seen of him.
Well, when it came, but that, you know what? That's the other one of note to me. That was his coming out party.
Yeah.
I mean, he had strung together wins and finishes, but that was the one where it was serious step up in level of competition. Once I saw him be able to hang, well, not only hang, but defeat Cub Swanson the way he did, I didn't have any question as to whether or not Brian Ortega belonged in this fight with Frankie Edgar. I just favored Edgar with his experience, his speed, his footwork. I mean, all the things that he was doing right in the fight up until he got caught. So now we look ahead to Brian Ortega and Max Holloway probably sometime over the summer. All right. Also in bantamweight action, Sean O'Malley, undefeated fighter, 10-0, defeats Andrei Sokhamthoth. Dana White nor I can seem to accurately pronounce his name. Dana didn't even try last night. He started it because they got fight of the night, and in the post-fight press conference he goes, fight of the night was Sean O'Malley and you know the guy. I'm going to butcher his name. You know what it is. Like, he didn't even try. I didn't blame him. It's a tough name to pronounce. But I think they call him Soak or Sook or something like that for a nickname. But Sean O'Malley looked super impressive in this fight. This guy, I saw him fight in December at the Ultimate Fighter finale, and he looked good. He really was. He's the biggest breakout star that Dana White's Tuesday Night Contender Series has had. You've been to at least one of those, Travis, right? Did you go to more than one?
Of them, yeah.
Okay. Were you there the night O'Malley won and Snoop Dogg was singing his praises and all that? The Sugar Show?
Yep.
Yeah. Well, I saw him fight in December, and he won. It was a little bit of a, by his standards, maybe more of a lackluster affair. That wasn't exactly a star-making performance at the Ultimate Fighter finale, but last night was. This guy, first of all, got a 10-8 round on two judges' scorecards for the first round. Almost had Andre finished. The low kick game that this kid had, along with his innovation with spinning back fists, he had a grappling chain that he strung together in the second round that went triangle. If I remember it correctly, it was like triangle to armbar attempt to anaconda into full mount rear naked choke attempt. Do you remember that whole sequence, Travis?
Yeah, and I wish I'd have pulled up something on it because I was going to ask Frank about it. It looked like he had that triangle locked up pretty tight, and I couldn't figure out why he couldn't finish it because I don't understand it. But I was going to ask Frank about it, but I forgot to pull a clip up about it.
If you want to, go ahead and start looking for it.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, he did have the triangle. He kept readjusting his foot, so I
got to look at it. I'll see.
Yeah. There were, I think, at least two times that he unlocked his feet and took his right hand and put it on his ankle to hold the leg that's crossed behind his neck in place. But
did he put the other foot on the hip and re-angle it?
Yeah, there was a reason he kept readjusting.
Was it on the foot or on the shin?
On the ankle, so he was locking over the ankle.
Right, so there wasn't cause, because one thing that is always I do at all my submission holds. That's probably why mine are so correctly brutal, is that I take joints out of the equation. So if I'm going to triangle you, if this is the back, if this leg is over your head, my left leg, let's say, then I put the back of my hand, my calf is always above my ankle.
Okay.
It can't touch the ankle because the ankle has all the bones in it, right? And it moves. Oh. So it's like it'd be like me trying to like choke you with nunchucks, right?
Yeah.
There's give.
Yeah. Okay.
But if I bring it and take that out of it and put it right on the tibia, now it's all bone. And when I crush down on you, there is no give. I mean, now the bone has a little flexion to it, but not compared to if I put it on the foot. And I see so many guys that put it on their ankle or their foot, and it gives that half an inch quarter of an inch gap of pressure, and that's sometimes enough for a guy who's tough. He's not going to go to sleep. He's going to fight through it.
Yeah, he readjusted a couple of times, and then
if your toes aren't pointing up in a triangle,
yeah,
on the foot that's being trapped behind the head, you're probably not doing it right. If your toes are pointing horizontal or parallel to the mat, they're wrong. Yeah. Your toes should be able to flex completely pointing north.
Yeah.
And then, then that means the triangle's correct.
Yeah, after he readjusted. The other thing too, as I recall, he may have had a hard time getting the trapped arm across his body.
Yeah, and if that pushes down on the hips, that keeps a little bit of a gap over too. But honestly, I've had people trap their elbow there, and as long as I get the shin good, and then it's all about pulling down on the head. People get that wrong all the time. Like I mean, Drysdale has a world-class triangle. But if he can't put his hands on my head, I can be stuck in it. Everything else can be perfect, and I don't tap. I won't go to sleep. If I fuck up and let go of his hands, then I'm asking him what happened.
Yeah. Okay. Well, he didn't lock it into completion, but that chain that O'Malley had was super impressive. And then round 3, he suffered an injury. Now, round 3, he threw a right high kick to the head and seriously injured his foot somehow. Now, I say seriously, the word we got at the post-fight press conference, and this was directly from Dana, was that his foot was not broken. They'd taken him to the hospital and x-rayed it, so maybe it's some kind of fracture type situation. But I noticed a lot of people were talking online because after the decision was, really right before the decision was announced, once the fight was over with and the adrenaline kind of calmed down, I think the pain set in, and he was on his back laying on the mat when he heard the decision announced. Rogan actually interviewed him while he was laying on his back. I saw somebody made a meme out of that today, and it said, what happens when you fracture your foot and Joe Rogan wants to podcast? Pull Dana back up there though, because I want his comments on the Holloway Ortiz fight, but also I talked to him about Hector Lombard, which we're going to talk about here in a second. So anyway, Sean O'Malley looked like the prospect that he's been touted as last night. Very, very impressive performance from him, and he collects the fight of the night bonus. All right, before we finish talking about the main card, we may as well skip to a fight on the prelims, which saw Hector Lombard disqualified against CB Dalloway in the first round. So here's my questions with Dana. I'm going to talk to him about Holloway. Do I keep saying Ortiz? If I am doing that, I mean to say Ortega. Just understand that there was a big boxing match last night with Deontay Wilder and Luis Ortiz, and I've kind of had that on my mind. I think I even correctly...
You haven't got to see it yet.
No.
I didn't either, because like I said, I was out to dinner, so I did a play-by-play. I actually had to apologize to everybody at the table. Like, I'm going to be that asshole tonight who for the first half hour I'm staring at my phone.
Were you like, normally I'm that asshole that's playing Clash of Clans, but tonight I'm that asshole that's trying to follow a boxing match.
You know me so well. Now I at least excuse myself to go to the bathroom and play Clash of Clans.
Here's me talking
Dana, just to follow up on the conversation of Ortega and Holloway, assuming Holloway is healthy in short order, would maybe the July card be a good time to target that fight to Kobil?
I don't know. I don't know. Off the top of my head, I don't know. But yeah, I want to make that fight as soon as possible.
Yeah. I also want to get your thoughts on the Hector Lombard disqualification. That one appeared to be a pretty blatant one.
A pretty what?
A pretty blatant one in terms of after the bell.
When you watch the replay, you clearly see the referee yell stop, and he yells stop in like a half a second, and then Lombard throws that last punch that knocks him out. Yeah, it was the right call.
All right, thanks. All right, so to set this up, if people didn't see the prelims, right at the horn to end the first round.
Are we allowed to show that little highlight? We have a little view of it. So
yeah.
Folks that are watching the YouTube video.
Yeah, I think we can show that. So right at the horn, Lombard he's caught a kick from Dalloway. He's got Dalloway's I guess right leg in his left hand, and he throws a right-left 1-2 combination that lands and drops Dalloway after the buzzer. Now, he was disqualified for this because there's a little half plug for the John Anik, Kenny Florian podcast, which is fine. We like those guys.
We do?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
Yeah, we do.
Just making sure.
I'll tell you if we don't.
I like John Anik a lot.
Yeah.
And Florian's a good guy, too.
Yeah.
I panicked on that one and started clicking.
Yeah.
clicking off.
You're like at home and all of a sudden you open up the window where the porno is on it. No!
That's exactly what
I've done that.
Travis got bored. Travis got bored with our podcast. Just wanted to see what Florian and Anik were
He's
doing.
listening on there.
Yeah.
This one's shit.
Yeah. No, but so it happens right at the horn. Dalloway is unable to continue, and he's disqualified. Now, it looked like a solid DQ to me. You heard Dana agree with me. Frank may have a different take on this. Let's watch the replay here.
Time in slow motion. Here's the kick to the body. Now here's the buzzer, and boom! That's after the buzzer. And let's listen one more time. There's no question at all. That was 100% after the buzzer.
All right, we'll stop that.
All
right, where you got, Frank?
All right. I do agree that it's a disqualification because you have to protect CB.
Yeah.
The mistake was made. Now, do I think it was a flagrant foul that he did on purpose, like the bell rang, he tried to get a cheap shot? Not at all. What I think is called a sequence. Anybody, even Dana, who's done aerobic boxing instruction, would understand that you call combos, right? So if I sit there and go 1, 2, 3, your body is thinking not 1, let me look, okay, there's the 2, all right, let me look, there's the 3, 3. Your body is sequenced that certain combinations your body leads through. It's like a dance move. You hit steps 1, 2, and 3, your body doesn't have to go 1, 2, 3. You start having efficiency because you've drilled it so many times that it's not a higher process thought. It's a reaction. So what's going on there is that is a very common combination to do off of a kick. He caught the kick. He threw it down. He throws a lead hand, right? And then the buzzer stung. It goes through, but then his body already is going 1, 2. Catch the kick, 1, 2. He's probably drilled that 1,000 times in the gym. So even though the buzzer went off, his body already is throwing the 2 when the 1 went. It's just a sequence of movements that is occurring. It's almost like a conversation where one word leads to the next. It's just the sequence of movement. It's the momentum of the fight. And so his body just fucked up. He couldn't pull out of the sequence. It's like, uppercut hook. I throw the uppercut, now the buzzer rang, but my body already is loading up onto my leg to throw that hook. You can pull from it. I'm not saying it's impossible, but I'm just trying to, for anybody at home that sits there and goes, well, that was fucked up. I'm like, he didn't throw the 1 and go, oh, now here's the 2. His body he's drilled it so many times, it was a blink reflex. It's like dropping your hands and sprawling at the same time. You don't have to think, okay, down block, get my head in between, pull my legs back. We drill it so many times that, boom, you kick back. One motion leads to the next in combination. It's like a snap down to a double. Okay, I've drilled this so many times that if I snap you down and you lift your head up, as soon as I feel that tension, I let go and I shoot. Most high school wrestlers, you ask them, hey, after you feel that trigger, your body's going to drop, drive, slide underneath the knee, the leg drag comes up, boom, you're going to drive into your shot. So I think that's what really happened with him. Now, is it a disqualification? Yeah, because fuck, man, he got an unfair advantage now that he hit CB Dalloway's not going to be able to recover. But I don't think it should in any way diminish the character of Hector, who he and I, we fought together on the same cards and stuff. It's not like we're boys. I don't even have his number on my phone. But me seeing that, like if I was in CB Dalloway's corner, I wouldn't go, that was fucked up, man. I'd be like, shit, that's just fighting, and that happens.
Now, he ultimately has to be responsible for his hands.
It
right?
did, yeah.
Now, so let me ask you this, and I don't know the answer to this question, so let me ask you from a fighter's perspective. In that time frame where, and I think your points are fair that, that when you're in mid-sequence, it's not like you have one eye on the clock and you're watching it tick down to the last second. However, let me ask you this question. He's going to hear the 10-second warning, right? He's going to hear the sticks. Is there, in a fighter's mind, a thought that, okay, I'm within that 10-second window, So while I do
There
need
should
to,
be.
yeah,
Yeah.
so while I do need
Yeah.
to step on the gas and finish strong, I also need to be
You're
aware.
alerted. It's not going to catch you by surprise. You're absolutely
Yeah.
right, the point you're making, and it was a mental mistake of Hector to do
Yeah.
that. Again, though, there are those after the bell shots where, like, especially off a break, if we're
Yeah.
both clinched against
Yeah.
each other, and all of a sudden the boop, and then I break away from you, right? And then boom, I throw the shot. You can deliberately see that, okay, you didn't initiate an offensive movement until after the bell.
Yeah.
Whereas Hector's offensive movement was initiated off the kick. That catch the kick, his catch 1-2 is all one mental sequence.
Yeah.
And that started a half a second before the bell and then finished a second
Yeah,
after
that-
the bell.
that makes sense.
That's what happened there. But what you're saying about being aware, I am. I'm very, you're sitting there going, but it happens. It happens in training. I feel bad when that's the worst. I mean, obviously, I guess I can't say it's the worst because losing your win and getting a DQ is the worst. But in training against your friends and sparring partners, look, man, at least once a month, one of us are going to hit each other on the bell or after the bell on accident, especially in the heated moment. You're fighting, boom. And then it's even worse there because we only have a 30-second warning. We don't get 10-second warnings in training.
Yeah.
Usually the bell, if you're doing a 3-minute round, at 2.5 minutes, their 30-second clock goes, dee, dee, dee. Okay, I got 30 seconds. That's a long time to forget that there, 30 seconds. You're not going to go, okay, I got 30 seconds. It's too much time to hold on to. So I've caught guys afterwards, sequencing. The shot that I most deliberately did, and I was like, oh, shit. And you could see even his reaction when he put his hand out. I remember one time with one of my training partners, I was setting up a level change straight left hand. So I go, jab, level change. I took a shot, come back. As the buzzer rang, I changed levels. But then because my brain already knew what I wanted to do, beep, pow, a good half a second after the bell rang, a full heartbeat, I threw a straight left. By the time I threw it, I mean, even as I level changed, my partner was tired. He heard the bell ring and immediately just dropped his hands. And so if you're watching at home, you're like, dude, Frank Mir's a dick. He just purposely, his partner dropped his hands. But in my brain, I'm like, okay, boom, I'm going,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, do you think Lombard would have helped himself by exhibiting some kind of remorse in the moment?
Yeah.
Because the other problem, too, is when he landed it, he kind of pointed at him and walked away, like, take that.
Yeah, and I didn't know if that was a take that or if that was like, oh, shit. You know what I mean? Like, they could have, I don't know. I took it like, in fact, afterwards, like you saying that, I'm like, yeah, that looks like what you're saying. I can see that. But my first thought was, oh, he pointed like, my bad, fuck. You know what I mean? Like, it's one of those things where, I kick someone in the groin on accident. It doesn't quite stop the pace of the fight. But it's one of those, like, I acknowledge I made a mistake. In the middle of combat, we kind of do that. I know it's weird to people, here you're trying to kill each other in a fight. But even amongst that, you know what I mean? You get a jab in the eye. If I poke someone in the eye, you sit there and go, you touch your forehead. You do some kind of I acknowledge that I fucked up, meaning that I'm not trying to do that. You know what I mean? Relax, Where if I don't get that some kind of acknowledgement, like, all right, motherfucker, you're trying to play dirty. Well, let's bring out the dirty tricks.
Yeah. I just think he would have helped himself by some kind of
a little bit more of a
contrition.
He was too poker face afterwards. And the point, if he had been like, oh shit, and put his hands together, lowered his stance, there's so many nonverbal communications I think he could have done to help himself. But I don't even think he registered at that moment.
Yeah. Couple other points on the card here. Mackenzie Dern makes her UFC debut, takes a split decision over Ashley Yoder. Mackenzie Dern, a decorated jiu-jitsu competitor, coming over to the UFC after some lower-level MMA experience. The fight stayed on the feet up until, what was that, Travis, the last minute of the third round, and Dern did get her back and got a rear naked choke in that Yoder was able to defend. Mackenzie Dern, I think, in the final minute or 90 seconds of the fight looked like what people were expecting. The rest of the time it was boxing, but she is, for several reasons, I think, a very marketable female fighter, and so we're definitely going to see some more of her. But it will be cool to see if she
what weight
can,
was this at?
They fought at straw weight. Yeah, 115.
I think that's what's going to hurt her when she moves up to the divisions. I think she's really an atom weight because if you look at her body, can you pull up a picture?
Really? You know what? I stood next. You remember when she?
Well, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong because I've always I've only been around her when she doesn't have a fight close up.
Yeah.
I've always seen her as very, you know what I mean? Like she's.
I think she's kind of thicker.
Yeah.
Is that what you're talking about? Well, atom weight's going to be less than straw weight.
Yeah.
So you're saying she could actually go down?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that she's a little heavy for her weight
Oh,
class.
but unnecessarily heavy. Okay, I see. I was
trying to say this in a way not to get ripped by everybody.
No, I see what you're saying. Because I thought you meant she just looks like.
No, I'm saying she's a little on the soft side.
Okay, yeah. Because because she did that ACB jiu-jitsu card with us in LA.
I mean, I like the look.
Yeah.
I'm not taking. I mean, as a fan of who I want to see in my bedroom, I prefer the softer look.
Okay.
But as somebody who's trying to manage a fighter, if I was her manager, I'd be like, all right, look, you know, man, we can get you a little bit.
You got your manager hat on.
Yeah, you know.
Well,
so if I take off the boyfriend hat, which she's obviously very easy to look at, you know, but. Fuck, Mrs. Mears gonna get mad.
She was.
I'm nervous right now.
No, but I mean,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I remember because she did that ACB card with us. Yeah, and I remember she's just. I mean, not fat, but she's just a thick,
you can say it better than I am.
Strong girl. What?
More like, I mean, a word like voluptuous would probably go along.
Yeah.
Which, as a fighter, you don't want to be voluptuous for your weight class.
Yeah. You've been referred to as voluptuous a time or two.
And rightfully so. That's why I got Aaron and Justin Bloom over there at Portion Control fixing up my diet.
Yeah, that's true. You are not looking so voluptuous.
No, I'm trying not to be voluptuous anymore.
Yeah.
Keep it in the ass and the shoulders, you know what I mean? But I got to get this midsection, get rid of it, you know what I mean? Because, you know, Roy Nelson has that market cornered, I think, with the big gut.
Yeah.
And I'm just you know, the dad bod thing, I got to get rid of, you know, and that's why you can see my hard work. Even right now, it's Sunday.
Yeah.
I keep looking at my phone. I've been texting with James Horn right now because we're scheduling my training for the rest of the day.
Speaking of a guy who's not looking so voluptuous these days.
No, a vegan diet. You know, we did the bod test yesterday. We had to test our body fat. I'm not going to give away where he was, but he's much lower than he was. He's much happier about his performance.
He posted his results on his Instagram.
Oh, okay. Shit, I didn't look.
Yeah, he's turning into one of those vegans now. He's like, look at this.
Yeah. And, you know, and we're doing cardio together and training. I mean, he's, you know, obviously he works with me inside the, you know, like jiu-jitsu drills and grappling. He's one of the partners to jump in. So he's not going the full time that I'm going because I'm always the man in the middle. But when I do my strength and conditioning training, he does it alongside me. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, you know, hey, misery enjoys company.
Yeah.
And so when Adrian there at Dolce's is putting us through the ringer, you know, like right now we're going to Dolce's at 11:30, get our workout in. I thought it was going to be at the park. That's why there's some confusion. I got to text Mrs. Meir. But he's doing my workouts with me and like my recovery and stuff, and he's right there. So, you know, and I'm doing all this other stuff to increase my cardio. He's just doing that. So it's showing that, you know, that vegan diet is really helping. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, with Mackenzie Dern and the idea of maybe being more of an atom weight fighter, the problem with that is women's strawweight is as light as it gets in the UFC, and I don't think they're going to create an atom weight division for her. So that being said, put your manager hat back on here again for a second. It seems like she's got to fight at strawweight until further notice because you want her in the UFC.
And then she has good height
else.
and great skill. Obviously, she's the most decorated female jiu-jitsu competitor right now.
Yeah.
You know, she has great flexibility, great attacks. You know, her stand-up is improving. I think she just now needs to become a little bit more physically astute, you know, a little bit more put together, you know. And I think that if I had to guess what's missing, did we ever get a picture of her? I'm sorry.
No, I couldn't find it. I was trying to find something from last night, but I couldn't.
You just put Mackenzie Dern up there and just, you know. Yeah. And hopefully it won't just be her, because she's a real pretty girl. You know what I mean? I mean, if she smiles, she lights up a room. She has the credentials as far as jiu-jitsu background. She's sweet, the way she talks, she's intelligent. She's great. I mean, I think she's a future star once the mainstream world gets to know her. I mean, everybody in jiu-jitsu world already is, you know, she's the darling of the jiu-jitsu world, honestly. Everybody, you know, loves her. I mean, you can just see, like, when she smiles, she's a pretty girl. She looks nice. I just think that she needs to become a little bit more Amanda Nunes looking, you know what I mean, where that just a little bit more tight, you know, and put on some muscle, and, you know, you're going to start fighting some really rough girls. I mean, even the other girl who's pretty, you could tell that her physique, she has a six-pack and she's hard. Paige Van Zandt. You know, she puts in that extra muscle and then cuts down. And I mean, really, at this name of this game, I mean, in MMA, we're becoming such a mainstream world-class sport. It ain't like it used to be in the time when, you know, 20 years ago, where you could be an extremely skilled jiu-jitsu competitor and go and choke out the in-shape guy.
Yeah.
The in-shape guy now is a black belt in jiu-jitsu. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so now it's like it comes down to percentages. It's like, well, my technique will overcome the fact that I can only do 3 pull-ups. You know, it's like, no, that ain't gonna happen no more. Now that guy's a purple belt in jiu-jitsu. He also wrestled in college. He has an amateur boxing background, and he trains, you know, twice a day, and he's physically fit. You're not gonna just lull him into a choke. You also have to. You have to be physically fit in our sport now.
Couple other highlights on the card. Back to the main card for a second. Andrei Arlovski takes a unanimous decision over Stefan Struve. I tell you what, Frank, the story of this fight, it wasn't maybe the most exciting fight ever, but Andrei Arlovski had more takedowns in this fight than he has his entire UFC career.
Yeah, good for him.
Yeah.
Older fighter. You know, not older. I mean, he's only a year older than I am. I mean, yeah, older fighter. We are. Fuck it. Just embrace
I like it when Frank argues with himself. Older fighter, well, no, not, but yeah, old.
As they say, a man has to find his equal. No, I'm just no, but still making adjustments and learning how to win fights. You know, I mean, Andre for a while there was so in love with the boxing, and offensively one of the best combination heavyweights that around. He's in the top of the list of guys that can put it together with punching combinations. But now has added. I remember training with him 3 or 4 years ago in Albuquerque, and when it was wrestling day, he absolutely hated it. He's like, I fucking hate wrestling. You know what I mean? I'm like, well, buddy, you're wearing 4-ounce gloves, so there's going to be some wrestling involved on the fight night. You know what I mean? Like, it's like I don't know if you can really honestly say you hate any aspect of our sport, because you have to be able to know how to do it all. I mean, even John Jones knows how to throw a triangle up from the bottom. It might not be his go-to choice, but he's capable and aware of all areas, and then you accentuate your strengths. So seeing that he actually now is developing takedowns, and Struve is such a long guy that at first you might sit there and go, well, yeah, it's easy to get under him. Yeah, it's easy to engage in a guy who's taller than you, but it's harder actually to disbalance him and take him down. Ask Daniel Cormier. Why does he have the impossible time taking down John Jones? Well, because John's center of gravity is so high, you can get in on his legs, but then when you pop your hips up, their feet are still touching the ground. It's harder to lift. Where it's harder to get in on a Daniel Cormier, but John was able to toss him around, because once he pops his hips up, John steps up to neutral, and now Daniel's feet are 6 inches off the ground. So that's what, for Andre to be able to overcome that. It's not just shoot on Struve, it's easy. No, it's actually fucking hard to finish the takedown. Yeah. Easy to get in, hard to finish. Where, again, shorter guy, harder to get in, easier to finish.
Yeah. So Arlovski shows he's still got plenty of fight left. Kicking off the main card in women's bantamweight action, Kat Zingano defeated via split decision, although this really should have been a unanimous decision. My girl Adelaide Bird was involved in this one, I think. Enough said there.
I'm shutting down. I can't deal with Adelaide Bird.
Zingano is defeated by Katlyn Vieira, who remains undefeated at 10-0 and is a hot bantamweight title contender now, coming in ranked number 5, and looked very impressive in doing so. Boy, Travis and I were talking about this before the show started. Kat Zingano, for as tough as she has been over the years, and for all, obviously former women's bantamweight challenger to Ronda Rousey, went through serious injury issues, serious personal issues with the suicide of her husband, and just unbelievable stuff she's had to go through. And it seems like now, in her mid-30s, still very competitive, but you just wonder if she's ever really going to be able to get back to that title contention level, because you think about and it's such an unfortunate set of circumstances, but you remember that's how Miesha Tate got into that coaching season with Ronda Rousey, because Kat Zingano was supposed to have that spot, got hurt.
Well, and how old is she exactly? She's 35?
35, right? That's, I think, 35, yeah.
She still has time. and I don't think the depth of the women's division is to the point where, I mean, if we were
Well,
talking,
that's true.
If we were talking about, you know, somebody at welterweight or
Yeah.
somebody in the men's division, but women are still a much smaller pool of female fighters out there. Kat is a very skilled fighter. I think that she still has time to put the pieces together and get some momentum. I mean, in 1 year, you could put together a 3-fight win streak, and I think a 3-fight win streak is enough in that weight class to get you. Once your name's on the board already, I think she can get into title shot again. So I think she's still there. I think it's just still plugging away, and just, you know, there's a lot of luck in fighting and in this entertainment world of just not having the wrong things happen at the wrong time, you know. I always tell people that's why I don't want my children to be professional fighters. They all have to train martial arts. I say that all the time. Like, you know, I just told Cage the other day, because he's really in love with wrestling and boxing, but he's been slacking on jiu-jitsu. I don't think he's shown up jiu-jitsu in 6 months now. And I told him, I said, before you graduate high school, I'll never buy you a car until you're at least a purple belt in jiu-jitsu. You got to be a purple belt, you know what I mean? And then you get the car. You know, I'll buy you a new car when you leave to go to college.
You buy me a car when I get my purple belt?
We'll talk, man.
Okay.
We'll talk.
All right.
You know, especially if you get a Drysdale purple belt. That's pretty respectable.
Okay.
But and
That's
it's not
something to shoot for.
And I'm not even telling him he has to do competitions. He just has to know how to handle himself.
Yeah.
That if he's out, you know, and somebody tries to, you know, take his milk money, he could take their arm off. You know, and you know, but. Because the reason why is I love fighting, but me getting paid for it is great because it lets me go train why Mrs. Meir doesn't yell at me, you know.
Yeah.
But you break your ankle at the wrong time. You get the flu on the wrong day. We all get colds. Like, there's no one who doesn't get a cold once a year, right? Imagine you get your cold the day before you fight. Now your respiratory system is all inflamed. You can't take a deep breath. So that's why when I say there's luck involved in being a professional fighter, it's even more so than it is in any other sport, I feel, because look, baseball, you get 170 chances to go prove yourself in a season. You know what I mean? There's a ton of games. Football, why it's in season, you can throw 4 interceptions on Sunday, but guess what? Next week, you can redeem yourself. And then you have 7 days that you got to eat shit on the internet, but you can go and fix it the next weekend, you know? Barring the Super Bowl, the next, you know, game is coming up, you know? In the fight world, you have a bad performance or things don't line up like Kat Zingano. Now she has 3 or 4 months minimum before we're going to see her again, most likely, right? Yeah. And that's a long time for people to sit there and go, oh, your age, this and that. And for you to sit at home and let that shit fucking sink in. And people can really they can hear that. And it could either A, like it does me, piss me the fuck off and make me show up at the gym on Sunday. Or B, you could sit there and go, well, am I being realistic about this? Because there's a part of being a fighter that has to be unrealistic. I can't look at all the odds and go, well, the chances of me coming back at 38 and doing this, it's like, fuck that. The chances of me doing A, B, and C that I've done in my career were actually slim to none. I believed 100% it was going to happen. And so you go out there and do it. And so there's that logical, you have to, suspend your logic for a little bit to want to be a professional athlete, which isn't easy, especially the more intelligent you are. And the few times I've talked to Kat, I've gathered that she's a pretty clever girl. You hit that. I mean, I've done that. I sit there and go, well, I could either just commentate and promote now. That makes good money. I mean, fighting, I've done that. You know what I mean? You could sit there and break down odds in your head and talk yourself out of shit because that's actually being realistic. But if you want to be the 1% world champions and go out there and break records and be a legend, you almost got to sit there and go, okay, you know, if you go through that house, there's a 90% chance you're going to burn alive. Yeah, so you're saying there's a 10% chance I can make it, right? You almost got to do that. So you're saying there's a chance. You know what I mean? Boom, I'm going, you know?
Yeah. Also on the prelims, maybe the guy who's had the biggest break of good fortune on this entire card was Alex Hernandez, a guy who was debuting in the UFC last night on short notice, took a fight against number 12 ranked lightweight Beneil Dariush. That was supposed to be Bobby Green's fight. If you recall, Frank, when we had James Vick on a couple of weeks ago, he actually kind of broke the news to us. I hadn't heard it up to that point, that Bobby Green was hurt and was going to be out of that fight. Vic had lost a fight to Dariush and was saying if it had been even just a few weeks later, he would have liked to have to take that fight. But now Vic may turn his attention toward Alexander Hernandez because this
guy put
guy
himself on the map real fast.
Yeah, this guy scores a highlight reel first-round knockout of Beneil Dariush, and also I think made the most of his post-fight interview too.
Real quick, just because we'll do that. I was going to try to text you.
Yeah,
I'm not doing the park workout today.
Okay,
so we're going to Dolce's gym,
okay,
which is 3 minutes away from here. So as long as we wrap up by 11:10 now.
Okay.
We don't have to. I told you 10:50. So you thought you had 4 minutes. We got 20 minutes.
All right. That's good stuff. That's good news for the Phone Booth Fighting Podcast listener. It's good news for Mike Dolce. He got a little plug in there. Yeah. He always appreciates that.
Adrian is the guy who's doing my strength and conditioning now. You can see him all over the internet. I am so happy with him right now. I mean, my energy levels, my strength. He really embraces that, like, we're going to make your weaknesses better, but we're going to focus on increasing your strengths. And every other coach I've ever had, I'm not going to say that, most coaches I've had in the past, it's like, okay, well, you're already strong, so we're not going to work on that. You're already explosive. Let's not work on that. Let's try to get your endurance up, this and that. And all it does is make me weaker, make me less explosive. And then I'm a shitty endurance athlete anyways. I mean, if we go run marathons or run up a hill, I'm not Forrest Griffin. But if you sit there and go, okay, you see that really heavy weight over there? I'm like, yeah, I want you to throw it over to that side of the room. All right, let's fucking go. I look like, I should be in the NFL. I'm good at that. So we accentuate on that, but still building up. I mean, you saw the pool workouts. I'm like a cat when it comes to water. I fucking hate the shit. Yeah. But that endurance training, you know what I mean?
I have to be honest with you. I don't know if this makes me the greatest friend or not, but I was looking at the picture of you and James and your wet, glistening bodies just getting out of the pool, and I was thinking Photoshop. I was like, what can I do with this? Because there's some – I didn't quite –
Don't give the fans any ideas. Off air, you could tell me what you were going to do. Did you like our one mockery that we did on Adrian?
Yes.
That was funny shit, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Did you see the picture?
Yeah, the guy that looked like he just got arrested.
Yeah, that's Adrian. Like, we're sitting there. I'm like, all right, everybody smile. Like, because that's my thing, man. Like, look, we're all fighters. We got tattoos. We beat people up. Let's stop the tough guy act. We're all cool. So we're all smiling after practice. And there's Adrian. Look, looks like, he looks like, what's his name? Who said it the funniest? Fuck, I got to give credit where credit's due. I can't remember now. But one of the guys in the group it looks like.
I think you guys said it on the last podcast.
Yeah.
James said it.
What did he say?
It looked like you guys are the DEA guys.
No. Yeah, that's right. James said it. That's right. You're
on. That was Richard.
That was you. Oh, Richard.
It was the professional comedian.
There's a professional comedian.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. And you like how I really wanted to make sure I gave it.
I do.
Like, okay, hold on. Someone said a really funny one. I got to give credit where credit is due, and it was Richard. Yeah, when you said that, it looked like we're like the agents that just busted the drug lord. And
he's the one getting extradited.
Yeah, that was good. That was good. That was the best one yet.
Yeah, see, that's proof that even if I'm not here, I'm still listening.
That's right. We appreciate
you
that.
are. Yeah. Fucking James.
Yeah, James
at home right now, texting the shit out of me, doesn't listen to our show.
Yeah, I know. He was asking questions about something we talked about on the
you called him on
that. That's right. Anyway, so Alexander Hernandez, what I was going to say, though, about his post-fight comments, it was like not McGregor-esque in terms of, he wasn't he wasn't turning full carnival barker, but he did speak with an impressive level of confidence. Sort of like, I'm always impressed with the guys who get the lucky break, the circumstantial break to be there, but then can not only take that opportunity, but really come across looking like they are meant to be there. If I had not known the backstory, I would have just assumed this is a guy who's had a handful of fights in the UFC, and that's the best look to possibly have when you're coming in new. Also, John Dotson, former flyweight title challenger, of course, has now moved up to bantamweight his last handful of fights, defeats Pedro Munoz by split decision. The interesting thing about this fight is this is Dotson's last fight on his contract. Some are saying that he could turn up in another organization, maybe over there with you in Bellator.
Yeah, or with me at ACB.
Or that. And the thing to really consider there, if you're Dotson, is that he ate before the win last night, so obviously he's moving up if he's moving at all. And there may eventually be a bantamweight title shot in his future in the UFC, but if he were to jump over to another organization right now, I mean, he would have to be instantly in title contention.
Yeah, definitely. He has is very explosive. He's had some great fights there with Demetrius Johnson. I mean, a couple times there, he was the only guy that looked like it could possibly give him a run for his money. But I mean, DJ just fucking hit another gear on him and it knocked him out in that last outing that they had together. Right, it was a knockout, I believe. Yeah, and so DJ's DJ, but Dotson, I think, if it wasn't for DJ, Dotson would be would have already held a belt at some point at 125. So yeah, if he
Agreed.
comes over, I mean, Bellator obviously could use him a lot. ACB could use him. I mean, that guy, you know, he needs to sit down and relax before he re-signs with the UFC because he is a commodity. And I think that today's manager day for me. Fuck.
Yeah.
So I'm actually going to text him and make sure he knows.
Yeah.
Hey, before you re-sign with the UFC, why don't you tell me what you're getting? And we could talk to Coker, and then we could talk to Merback, and maybe make sure you're getting the most bang for your buck.
Look at Frank putting the fighter deals together. Yeah. All right. Also, one more mention here. This was early in the night. This was on the Fight Pass prelims, but Mike Pyle fought his 42nd fight, his last fight ever, and he was knocked out in the first round by Zach Otau. And he was real upset after the fight, very emotional. He got the even the coming up short. He got the post fight interview just because it was his last fight. Got a chance to say goodbye to everybody, and this is a guy who he was a WEC title holder. He didn't hold a title in the UFC, but he's been around for so long. I mean, he goes back to like no holds barred days.
Yeah.
And a lot of people may not know, the more casual fan may not know the Mike Pyle story, but definitely a guy who could fall into the pioneer category.
Oh, absolutely.
And also a guy that I have always heard, Frank, was, as far as toughness in the gym goes, was always one of the toughest guys.
Yeah, skilled.
To train
In
with,
fact, when we talk about fighters who, when they decide, are going to become full-time head coaches, he's at the top of the list of sorry, the wife.
Oh, I thought you had the word on your phone. No.
Well, I was getting other
technicians.
But I just saw
is the
James,
word.
and James is who I've been texting with the whole time. And I'm like, well, James, who's texting me now? It's the wife too. Shit.
Oh, okay.
So, anyways, where was I? Where am I?
You were just talking about how skilled Mike Pyle is.
Yeah, as far as handful of fighters that will make a great head coaches because they understand the game inside and out and been in there and have experience and he's at the top of just about anybody who's trained or been in the room with him. I don't think anybody ever would argue with me that he's going to be a great one. No one would argue that fact, or maybe one of the best ones. So it sucks he went out like that, and I'm kind of hoping because he trains at Dolce's. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to try to run into him and be like, hey, why don't we just not retire? You retire from the UFC, but let's take another fight, maybe one or two, in somewhere else, and we'll give you not a give me fight, but maybe a younger guy needs your fight that is much more able to go out on a win. Mm-hmm. Just, let's have your last fight be a win. I don't know. Shit. I think that somebody who's had such a long career as him to go out on a knockout loss, at 42 years of age, like, I don't know. I'm just not there yet. I just know I couldn't. I would announce my retirement. Like, nope, fuck this, guys. We're doing it again. But I mean, that's just who I am. And I'm that same guy. If you tap me in the gym, I'm not leaving until I come back and fix whatever I fixed. You know what I mean? Like, I can't leave on a sour note, or my wife won't even be in the same room with me. I got to go sleep downstairs, because it eats me.
Well, maybe I did invite him on the podcast when I saw him earlier this week, so maybe we can have this whole discussion with him on the air, and you can try to make one or two more fights for him. I was thinking about this mathematically, though. He's 42. He just had his 42nd fight. It is impressive when your age matches the number of fights you've had, especially when it's that high of a number. Like, I was sort of trying to do the math in my head while I was in the shower, thinking about like the what do you call that? Like not a bell curve, but a
parallax.
Where things
a line graph interjection.
Where there's an intersect.
We need my kids here. They're better at algebra and geometry than I am.
But I was thinking, because it's one thing if you're, if you wouldn't have had 18 fights by the time you're 18. You wouldn't have 20 fights by the time you're 20. But to get to that level, now there's a situation where you could have 60-something fights by the time that you're 40, but
you got guys like Alistair. I mean, he has more fights than he is of age, so
but that is pretty impressive though when you get up there and your age can.
Anybody over 30 fights, man. I mean, that's a lot. I mean, in MMA, I think the average fight career is probably 15 to 25 if we look through guys. You know, so
Yeah.
once you start breaking into 30s, 40s, 50s,
Yeah.
you've had some brawling.
Well, thumbs up to UFC 222, and you know it was one of those cards that like I said, it suffered from injury to one of the main fights. It didn't have the most depth on it in terms of star power, but a lot of times those cards are the ones where somebody can really emerge with a breakout performance. I mean, I think unquestionably last night that was Brian Ortega, but the stage was set perfectly for him to do that. I'm going to get your guys' thoughts on something since we do have a few more minutes.
Actually, now I'm saying,
Oh, now we don't again?
yeah, 4.
Okay.
Sorry.
How is this moving? This is like watching the stock market.
That's my life, man. It's
Yeah.
training. I was oh shit, I got to do this, do that. And
Yeah.
When you're training for a fight and you're also running around the world commentating, and and then have a wife with a bunch of children, and
I guess so. I
And
guess so.
I've got a difference of opinion with you on something.
Okay,
so
what-
we have time to slide.
oh yeah,
down.
please
let's do
that. I
that.
love different
Yeah.
opinions.
You've been pretty critical on T-Mobile Arena, and so
Oh, yeah,
and
yeah.
I always value your opinion. So I
And
went
let me
in-
just say what my criticism is. Let me just set this up. I just think it's too big for fights. My position is that fights, boxing, MMA should not take place in something larger than about roughly 10,000 seats as opposed to almost 20,000, which I think T-Mobile is. Sorry, go ahead.
So, and I think the same way. I've been to quite a few fights in different arenas. I've been to small ones like the Pearl, the Palm, and at the Joint and the Hard Rock, stuff like
yeah.
that. Real intimate.
Those
type
are
settings,
nice,
You know,
yeah.
it's really cool. But I've also been to like Madison Square Garden.
Yes.
Which is way too big.
Yeah.
It was a horrible experience. But so listen to you always talk. I've never been inside T-Mobile.
Oh, you had not?
I haven't been to a hockey game. I haven't been to anything.
I just assume you built it.
No, I did not.
Oh, okay.
But so I went in a little nervous. We bought balcony tickets.
Yeah.
And I thought, it's just gonna be a fun experience. But I was actually surprised. Our view, it didn't feel any different to me as sitting in like the MGM.
Really?
Yeah, it didn't. I other than the rows being really close together and
Yeah.
not much leg room, my view, we had a great view. I mean, there was nothing to complain about.
Were you on one of the ends or more the?
I was on the balcony directly behind the blue corner.
Okay, so the closer ends of you're going to have two closer sides and two farther
Yep.
sides. Okay, so,
Yeah, so I was on
that
the
helped a
closest,
little
yeah,
bit.
yeah.
Okay, yeah. I mean, look, and I'm spoiled too. All right, we're going to get Hayden on here
Hayden,
for
what'd you
his 13-year-old perspective on the T-Mobile Arena experience. Hayden, this is Travis's son off camera here. Hayden, have you seen? Is this your first MMA fight to go to or no?
Yeah, it's my first MMA fight.
First one. Okay. So what did you think in terms of the viewing experience and all that?
For the first time, I thought it was pretty cool. I kind of wish the Cyborg fight would have lasted longer
Yes.
instead of just being the first round
Yes.
elimination.
So did Yana Kunitskaya, by the way. She
Yeah.
said the exact same thing to me after the fight.
I like I forgot the 7-foot tall guy in the pit bull. I like
Stefan
that.
Struve.
Yeah, I
Yep,
like
the
that fight.
skyscraper in the pit bull. Mm-hmm.
And one of my favorite fights was the Brazilian and the Cat.
Kat Zingano.
Yeah, Kat
Yeah.
Zingano.
Now I don't know if this thought ran through your head, Hayden, when Stefan Struve fought Andrei Arlovski, but for me, that was the best musical matchup of the night with the walkout music. You had Andrei Arlovski's Johnny Cash matching up against Stefan Struve's Motorhead. So
Yeah.
are you familiar with either one of those?
I'm familiar with the Johnny Cash,
Good.
but not the Motorhead.
Okay, we'll work on that after the show.
Hold on, real quick. Can you put your boot up real quick in front of the camera?
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I can see
trust
it.
me,
Yeah.
you knew exactly he would know who Johnny Cash was.
Yeah.
Motorhead, I'd have been a little shocked on.
We're halfway there. That's okay. That's all right. That's a good deal. Yeah, because it was. I pay attention to things like that. That one battle I usually have is with the DJ in those arenas. But he was not too bad
It's
last
fighters
night.
choosing, right?
I only heard "Turn Down for What" once last night.
Oh my God! Turn down for what? We always hear "turn down for what" and "move, bitch, get out of the way." That's another one you can always expect here. I heard he did. Now that I think about it, he did upset me last night. I heard one thing he did last night. It was some guy rapping over AC/DC's Back in Black. That's all this was. The guy took Back in Black. It's a dun 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 dun, and that's playing underneath it. And there's a guy talking over that. Now, how is that some other song other than a guy talking over Back in Black? It frustrates me.
I guess people click on, I guess. I don't know.
All right. Well, our 4 minutes is up. Nicely done there, Travis. That was like Andy Rooney's bit on 60 Minutes where you come on the you ever wonder why? You know what bugs me?
Hey, so Travis, man, can we get you on more often, buddy? I mean, what's going on? Are you leaving or not? You bought a house. You're staying, right?
So I'm definitely staying in town. We just bought a house. We should have the keys like Thursday or Friday.
So then we need to start working out your schedule to where you can be our fourth man. That's been my goal. We have Mikey there working the doing director, right? But then other shows have their manager or whatever, the producer, whatever this guy will be.
Yeah. No, I would love to. I miss it.
Yeah, man, we miss you, buddy.
My whole life is suffering right now. Like I've been working 6 or 7 days a week. I've put my dive gear away. Like it's packed up.
No.
Like you hide certain things, you just don't see them.
Yes.
My dive gear's put away. All my dive buddies know. Don't call me. The answer's no. Because I mean, this is short term. I mean, it's I got another month of crazy hours.
All right, and then you can hit some normal hours.
Yeah.
All right. Are you interested maybe coming back on just to be a fourth man?
100%.
Cool.
I haven't had to have any adult conversations in a long time.
Well, and I like the banter
you
at the
get
show.
a lot of that
the
on the
fans at home can say.
I don't.
Don't you? I told you that like the other day. Even with Angelo's crazy, but having even having James, I was like, man, we should have more guys on here because I thought when we had that interaction, like I was sitting there for a moment going, man, there's 5 of us here with mics right now, you know what I mean, talking, and I thought it came off great.
Yeah. It was one of our better episodes.
Yeah, it's like being at the bar with your buddy. You know, one-on-one with a beer is a great time. 4 friends that really enjoy each other's company with beer. I'm trying to figure out how to get beer on the show, dude. You know?
Yeah, well, if
it's not the friend angle I'm pulling, I'm trying to get alcohol. No, I'm just kidding.
If you're a beer sponsor out there, let us hear from you. We got our water sponsor with Real Water, so we're good there. We need a beer sponsor, and I'll tell you what else we need is a backpack sponsor.
Yeah, we're still working on that.
Put that word out because I've got to have a dependable backpack that I can bring into fight week.
I'm pretty sure James is going to be able to help you with that too, because I mean, I'm thinking that him in accessories, because he's the shoe man.
Yeah, the shoe man.
The shoe man. He's laughing over there. Yeah. The sneaker black belt.
Yeah, he is the sneaker black belt on Instagram.
Cool.
All right. Well, this has been Hardcore Fight Talk on a Sunday morning. So hopefully everybody appreciated our rapid response to UFC 222. We should do this as often as possible.
We're going to. Unless people don't like what we're doing and say nah.
Yeah.
But I think we're going to go ahead and I told you. Well, definitely do the Sunday morning show.
Yeah.
And maybe make it a total of 3 shows now.
Yeah.
2 shows that are the mixture of us going back and forth where fights are discussed, but then we start discussing gun control. And, hey, the AIPAC, the APAC thing, I went and looked it up. Who was that?
I don't remember the name of the guy that emailed. I'll have to look up his name.
If you're listening, I did look that up, and that's some scary shit, buddy. You got me watching.
We'll talk about it. Yeah, we'll
so
talk
anyway,
about
so
it on
having
a future
that stuff to talk about, about how, the Israeli foreign affairs just really meddling with ours way too much, and then and then have this Sunday show be our let's break down fights that happened over the weekend. I wanted to get more on boxing, but I guess we could say that
we'll do it. And
how was the response with Angelo? Are we okay? Can we bring Angelo talking about the boxing again? Or
you know what, Angelo really behaved himself.
Yeah, he did. I thought so. But how did the fans? Are you guys okay with him?
They seemed calm. I mean, I didn't see a.
We'll always bring Angelo with James, but I'm gonna have James have that hook.
Yeah.
Right, and we just sit
like
there
like a lion tamer.
Yeah, well, like they used to do in the old, like
the vaudeville.
Yeah, right. And you fuck up, we'll hook them by the neck and pull them off. And I'll sit here with clippers on the mic. So I think that we'll do that, just breakdowns of the fights and then preludes, and make this a 90% fight show.
I like that, and we'll crank it out real quick too, which is nice because that way it's rapid response. Like I said, UFC 222 is only like 12 hours old.
We can be part of everybody's Monday morning.
That's right.
Water cooler talk.
That's the idea. All right, so do us a favor. If you like that game plan, do us this favor, and it won't cost you a thing. Go on iTunes, look up Phone Booth Fighting, click on the 5 stars. Give us that 5-star rating. That's very
Huge.
beneficial to us. And if you're feeling extra generous, again, won't cost you a thing. Write a favorable line or two in the comments and reviews section. We like to read those on the air. That helps us.
Once a month, we try to get that out.
Yep, we like to share those. Tell a friend about Phone Booth Fighting. That's how we're going to grow this thing, one listener at a time. And if you would like to financially support the show, go to
You want to financially help us.
Yes,
You
go
want
to phoneboothfighting.com. There is an Amazon banner right there on the front. When you're shopping on Amazon, click through that Amazon banner on the front of phoneboothfighting.com, and here's Frank Mir to tell you why you would want to do that.
Well, it's one of the easiest ways to help us out. You're going to do your shopping. You're going to get the things you want at home, and Amazon is an extremely convenient way to do so. Hell, we all do it. But by going through our banner, that's the only extra effort it takes on your part. It helps us out by giving us a small percentage of your purchase comes back here at the show at no extra cost to you. Whatever, if it was $1 before, it's $1 now, except for Amazon's going to kick us back a little bit.
Hey, shout out to a guy, and I can't see the names of the people. Don't worry, your personal information is not compromised.
Is anybody about to strap on yet?
Not that I'm
disappointed in our fans.
Not that I've seen, but shout out to this guy, though. We had a guy within the last couple of weeks that has outfitted an entire home gym.
I know. When we first started it, he said he was going to do that.
Yeah, this guy brought like mats and heavy bags. And
no, I'm thinking about the audio.
Yeah, one guy did his home theater.
Yeah, home theater. Sorry.
Yeah,
so the guy did a whole gym.
Yeah, just in the last couple of weeks. So, and that's hugely beneficial to us.
Hopefully it's Galen, right? Furnishing out my gym.
Yeah, I don't know if it was him or not. But we get a little taste of that, and it's no extra cost to you. So we appreciate you doing that. Also, official Phone Booth Fighting merchandise, like the awesome Phone Booth Fighting T-shirt I happen to be wearing right now, is available at phoneboothfighting.com in the store section. All right, Frank, tell them how to follow us on social media.
Well, if you're on Facebook or Instagram, just follow us at Phone Booth Fighting. If it's Snapchat or Twitter, just Phone Booth Fight.
All right. For Frank Mir and for myself, Richard Hunter, and for Travis over there, guest producing, reviving his old role, who did an awesome job. Thanks for coming up and spending Sunday morning with us.
Yeah, man, it's cool.
And thank you to you for joining us for another episode of Phone Booth Fighting. Remember, you can watch all of these. If you're listening to audio only, you can also watch them on our Phone Booth Fighting YouTube channel. So check that out. We're trying to grow that thing as well. We appreciate you being with us, and we will see you right back here next time on Phone Booth Fighting.
Ta-da!